I'm Lindsey Gillson from the University of Cape Town. I'm a paleoecologist, or an ecologist who thinks on long timescales. I believe that it's only by understanding landscape history that we can identify which grassy ecosystems are ancient and which are anthropogenically derived, and this is knowledge that is crucial for appropriate ecosystem management and restoration. It's important that paleoecologists work with evolutionary biologists, climate scientists and archaeologists to understand how different factors, specifically climate, fire and human activities, have interacted to shape vegetation change. We need to distinguish ancient from anthropogenic grassy landscapes. We need to understand the drivers of anthropogenic landscape development and the possibilities for restoration, at the same time considering local context, sustainability and livelihood options. We still need a lot more paleoecological sites with high temporal resolution throughout Madagascar. Chronology is always a challenge when working in areas where there's erratic rainfall and disturbance, but we can get interesting information nevertheless. We also need to embed our knowledge of change within a social ecological framework that considers cultural and livelihood factors. We're limited to wetland sites where pollen will be preserved and where we can collect sediment cores. The time frame is dictated by the age of the sediments. From the mid-Holocene is possibly the most useful in terms of ecosystem restoration and management. We usually work in pollen percentages or pollen concentration. We need to do a lot more calibration work, that is, comparing modern pollen rain to current vegetation so that we can convert the pollen data to plant abundance. That way we can more accurately reconstruct vegetation change over time, and the data are more useful to those outside of quaternary science. In my lab we also favour a multi-proxy approach where we have an independent climate proxy, for example isotopes or diatoms, alongside a proxy for fire, so charcoal, and herbivory, that is dung fungal spores. This is so that we can better understand the drivers of vegetation change. We usually group pollen from distinctive vegetation types together: savanna, grassland, heathland, riverine forest and other forest types. We try to use the same terminology as in the ecological literature to facilitate comparison of paleoecological and ecological data. To illustrate these points, I'd like to talk about an example from the southeast of Madagascar. This is Malika Viraswamy's work. The littoral forests are highly endangered and rich in endemics. They contain about 13% of Madagascar's flora in 1% of the land area. They occur in small patches where soils are rich in ilmenite and therefore they've been targeted for mining. It's often assumed that the littoral forests were once contiguous, and this has been used as a justification for ilmenite mining. So if this is all that's left, it's argued that they're doomed anyway. Actually, what Malika's work showed was that there were ancient fire-adapted heathlands and open woodlands long before human arrival on Madagascar. So the paleoecological work showed that the littoral forests always occurred in small patches. The ericaceous and open woodland are ancient. Forest cover has declined, yes, but the assumption of contiguous forest helped to justify mining and the destruction of some of the remaining forest fragments. At the moment we're working with William Bond, Estelle, Slavo, Fetra and Caitlin, and we also have many other collaborators, thanks to our funders at the NRF.